Drunk in love, I can't sleep. I need to sober up from this dream, but I can't deny, I can't deny you. I can't deny, I can't deny you.
I need new flavor, reason to throw my game, not really why I came. Oh.
Grab out. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the University of Limerick for the European Ultimate Championships 2023. The first round of pool phase has wrapped up in the open division, and we move now on to power pools. This action from Power Pool F has Czech Republic taking on Italy, and the other three teams in this power pool, Great Britain, Belgium, and now Switzerland with their crossover win over the Netherlands. Talking you through this action is myself, Benji Rees, alongside the one and only Steph Rapazzo. Steph, I think you, like me, have got a kind of a little bit of a buzz about this one. I think this could be a cracker.
This is absolutely that. I think the Czechs, a team that have been consistently on the rise for the last few years. The Italians have been swinging at the top for a long while. Italians maybe don't have the deepest roster we've ever seen out of them, though, and the Czechs probably touting one of the better rosters they've put together. These two countries haven't faced off internationally since pre-COVID. This is really aligns well for an opening game into power pools. It is a pick'em type of game, flip a coin if you will, but better than that, we're just going to let these guys duke it out for the next 100 minutes and see who emerges on top after a great couple of days of pool play to get us here, Benj.
Yeah, both of these sides actually finished second in their pools. For the Czech Republic, comfortable wins over Slovenia and Sweden, but a tough 15-11 loss to Germany, where they were trading at 11s, and then 4 on the spin from the Germans really put the dagger in them, including a Samuel Buitenmüller-Callahan. For Italy, started strong, 15-10 win over Ireland, then were upset in that Universe point loss against Spain, with the Spaniards breaking on Universe as well. You can get the inside story on that, by the way, if you catch up on last night's Limerick Late Night Live from 55. And they dispatched Israel 15-7 this morning, an emphatic victory to book their place in the top power pool.
Well, it is all happening here in Limerick, fast and furious. The weather today, I mean, something that can be spoken about every day here in Limerick. Inclement as can be. It was apocalyptic at stages, but now sunny, breezy, beautiful to be around, and this is, you know, a thrower's wind, or this is a receiver's wind again. This is shouldn't cause any problems as far as the elements go here.
Yeah, it's pushing roughly left to right and towards the camera as you look at it, so towards roughly the bottom right corner, but it's nowhere near as fierce as it was, for example, in the show games on Saturday. but still something for these teams to take in. For the Czechs, I think that they're maybe relishing the status as a bit of a dark horse for the semi-finals. They think they can snatch that semi-final spot. And for Italy, I spoke to the effervescent and effusive Giovanni Choppo Santucci before the game, and I asked him if he was going to win, and he said that he guarantees it. So, no pressure.
It's funny, Benji and I were talking about that on the sideline, said, yeah, Choppo guaranteed a victory, while a couple of the Czech players, Prak walked by, and he's guaranteed victory for who, is what he said. So these guys all willing to put it on the line, make sure no advantage is given, and it's underway, Benji.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see whether that ball landed just in or out of bounds, and the fact that he's got his hand up and will take it from the brick mark, I think tells you the answer. Tadeusz Wawra will be the player to start with it. Plays with 3SB Foy in the open division in the club scene, the Czechs who have had a phenomenal early season before coming into the national program. Krushak. Towards this sideline, the rangy Marek. Collects the dish off there from Limerick. Now sounds like some sort of transition coming from the Italians as the Czechs look to continue to spread it around. They've got that swing available, but they want to be aggressive, taking the downfield options. Marek just suggests about the dish off, but decides against it and then goes for the inside throw with the wrong edge on it, and it blazed to the turf. An early break chance here for the Italians.
Yeah, should have gone for the dish off in the end when that ends up being the result. Uncharacteristic is easy to say, but Marek just a little overambitious there.
So Italy going to try and look big for the first point, and that is wisely left alone.
Wise enough because they're going to benefit a good 20, maybe 30 meters because of it. Maybe a bit less, looks like a bit more 10 to 15.
But still, decent field position to have. I've just noted, by the way, that Luca Tognetti, number 97, Pingu, he's got the filthiest tash.
I think it looks good, as filthy as it is.
You would. Pelicano, of course, will be familiar playing with a lot of the Italian lads on BFD La Fossa for a few years. And the deep shot coming from the Czechs. Marek this time is the target. He pops up, and I thought there was some contact there.
They're talking about it as such. Venturoli foul uncontested.
Accepted, thank you very much. It's going to be checked in. Can they find just the one pass in? Trying to get that isolation in the open side, doesn't like it. And a lovely little leading break there in Jakub Krushak, makes it 1-0 Czech.
Yeah, second time of asking. Czechs get away with the deep shot, not in for goal, but that really swung the door open. A little bit of patience, chisel cut going forward, and just led that floater into the end zone. Let's see how these two teams continue to stack up. Nice first point. We get to see a couple possessions before the Czechs eventually cash it in. The Italians will put their O-line out there, see if they can hold too.
It will be interesting to see if they maybe learn some of the lessons from the Czechs there, how to edge those throws properly, and maybe the D-line, getting errored with that shot. Just a warning that you do have to be precise when the deep game is on. By the way, a public service announcement from our scorekeepers on this sideline. The terminology changed to accepted foul a couple of years ago, essentially to ease any language barriers and make it very clear when something is contested or not. So they changed uncontested to accepted.
Thanks, Benji. I do know that, but I still live 20 years ago sometimes, and I'll do my best to rectify my vernacular.
It's hard to unlearn things, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is sometimes.
So not just for you, but for everyone at home as well when they're playing. Grzyj on the mark as it goes wide. Copy has that slashing cut developing. Girotto wants the underneath and finds it. Now shooting to the end zone, beautifully dodged deep shot there from Simone Gasparini, as he's done so often down the years. We're level at once.
Great bit of work there by the Italians. Girotto kicks things off with the first under, and the ambidextrous thrower opened it up. Gasparini did the rest of the work. The Italians came out of a horizontal-looking set there. The Czechs were wary about the ins, and just a little bit of movement and shifting in initiation. Gasparini faked himself deep for maybe one jab cut, and it was enough to get himself open, and that was the difference there to have that power position for the score. Here comes Gasparini under again, having a look for the easy finish.
Yeah, just puts the right edge on this, sits it out in front. There's separation, and it is gratefully accepted there by Lorenzo Pavan. His younger brother was out representing in Nottingham, Stefano
Pavan, that's exactly it. I had the pleasure of being toured around Padova as Pavan, his home club there, Barbastrai, and he took us to some wonderful eating establishments to get the full vibe in Padova.
Do all the young Italian stars have to come from a place that begins with the same letter? I'll get back to this theory later, as it is whipped deep, and Santucci was in prime position to get the block and had a firm hand on it as he palmed it well away from the target of Svelebil.
Good peel off by Chopo Santucci there. He's got to back up his guarantee now, so made sure that his help defense.
He's been not shy of letting know what he thinks about the opinioners with their opinions.
Chopo's not shy about anything really, and we love him for it.
Yeah, I might start calling him an opinionista. Actually, I might start calling myself that. That sounds fun. Lorenzo Gatti now has Laffy wearing that ever-familiar Dominican hat. I'm sure it might have even been red at some point. Here's the deep shot looking for Gialdini. Oh my goodness, what a way to get the block back. Exploded from nowhere there. Matthias Brandstetter. Marek. Separation created on the reset cut by Vilimek. Now that one past the bidding defender. Vavra seemed unfazed though. Pelican just gonna plop a little scuba over the top there, and he undersold it. I didn't hate the option, but the execution was wrong. Not that he'll need reminding of that. Break to Laffy. Wanted the dish off. Now Santucci running through. And Santucci blades it into the waiting arms of his receiver. The defender was close, but got no cigar on that one. And the first break goes Italy's way. 2-1 they lead.
Yeah, unfortunate for the Czechs there. The block by Brandstetter really, that should have been a spark for them. That play was phenomenal. But then the letdown in the scuba to land in front of Matic gave it back to Italy, and the rest, well, you'll see here on the replay for the score. But the Italians were pretty clinical once they did get that disc back, and there's the beautiful throw to cash in for the eventual score, Benji.
Yeah, Gialdini grabbed the goal in the end. It was a brilliantly judged deep shot, but that's the advantage there, and the Italians know this, of when you can get those dish off to the handlers who are coming through, it gives you such an advantage because they're catching it as they see the field, the play developing in front of them, and you can get that with the drone angle. He sees the spacing there, and he knows how far away the defenders have to be, and he judged the blade to perfection. Here was the deep shot that gave it back to the Czechs. I mean, brilliant grab there from Brandstetter. A shame from a Czech perspective that they couldn't make more of it. (2-1) to the Czechs. To the Italians against the Czechs.
That's the way it is.
Yep, Santucci hiding his shock bleach blonde hair beneath the cap. A good option, I think, for all concerned.
Keep it away.
There's a reason I'm wearing sunglasses, and it's not because of the weather, although the sun is out here in sunny Limerick. zone coming from the Italians. They want to muddy these lanes and just maybe cause a little bit of confusion and doubt in the Czech minds. At the moment, they're choosing to swing their way around the black. Maybe a bit of a bump there from Enea Di Cristofaro. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's still, I don't know what he's still communicating. It was a very evident bump, but I wanted to get his last word in.
He's doing a very good job of containing the Czechs so far. They are struggling a little bit to work out what their spacing needs to be. There's the run through that might provide a little bit of forward momentum. Halamka finds that pocket of space. Are those compression tights keeping his monstrous calves warm? Sorry, Steph. I know how much you were looking forward to those.
Get them out. Let the world see those calves. Give us the ham hocks.
No, the ham hocks are thigh muscles. Oh, sorry, that's hamstrings. Utilising a little bit of give-go here, the Czechs. Getting themselves to midfield. Oh, the foot block from Di Cristofaro! Pelikan maybe got a little bit of greedy. Tognetti now looks to run things after the turn. There's a cutter who's taken off deep. Can he get it past the Czech defender? He just about can. Another Italian break. 3-1 into the hands of Riccardo Venturoli.
Wow, the bid there by the Czechs looked like it was just enough. Venturoli kept his cool, a well-established receiver and player at this stage. You're gonna need to do a bit more than that to rattle him. He kept his eye on the prize and hauled that one in for the Italians. The Czechs were looking good, Benj. That zone by the Italians, there's another look at the bid and the catch. Chris on the defense and Venturoli. But the Italians were, the Czechs looking pretty good with the disc. As you said, they're just starting to get a bit of give and go after, dump swinging side to side for a handful of rotations. They just get going. They got through the guts of that zone until Di Cristofaro put that foot out. And as you said, Pelikan was just feeling that forward momentum a bit too much and threw one with just not enough care. And the Italians made him pay quick the other way. I
mean, you're seeing the athleticism of the Czechs, but sometimes athleticism won't get you out of any jam. There was a question in the chat from Andrzej Holnitsky. Good to have you back with us. About why Andrzej Riedler's not out there. He has 4 stitches in the index finger on his throwing hand after a collision in the second point of their opening game against Slovenia. So he is out of action for a while. He's hoping to be able to get a chance to go later in the week. Marek. Snuck that one through.
Only just.
Trying to find the spaces now. Faking towards this near sideline. There's been a stoppage of some sort. There's Rizzo with that frankly outrageous bucket hat. I use that pejoratively in this instance. Activates the reset. Pelikan comes through, and Pelikan with the backhand into the end zone. That was much cleaner. Wojciech Rybka makes it 3-2. Good for the Czechs to get back on the board as his sleeves begin to unfurl themselves.
They showed some good end zone O there, the Czechs. There's one moment in that point where a crossing route by Chopo almost got a hand on a disc. Other than that, once the Czechs got into the attacking zone, they were able to recycle, able to find enough space to get resets when necessary, and then in the end, the throw there to score coming up here from Pelikan with all sorts of space. So good looking end zone O by the Czechs on that one, and they pulled themselves to within 1, but still 2 breaks for the Italians. They're going to play O in the second half.
Yeah, the first clean hold of the game for the Czechs. I mean, that's one way to prevent the Italians breaking, is just don't give them the chance. But obviously, a lot of the time, easier said than done. On their previous O point against the Italian zone, the Czechs made 31 passes before they turned it over. The Italian offense back out there with Giorotto going wide. Now Trombetti. In the centre, Pavan. Goes with the offhand. Nice option to stretch it out to Valentini. Valentini, it works its way through Trombetti's grasp. Here's a chance to earn one of those breaks back.
Yeah, Trombetti, just a mental error there. The throw was right on. He couldn't clasp the hands. And a nice opportunity for the Czechs to break back.
Rybka, having caught the previous score, begins with Halamka coming underneath. And Halamka looks to rip it into the wind. The receiver has position, but it's going to float, tipped. And I couldn't see what happened on the second attempt because Pingu finied us. If only there was like some sort of line 3 meters away from the pitch that they could stay behind to prevent this sort of thing happening. I guess we'll never know.
There is one of those lines.
Oh, right. Hey, get off the sidelines.
Please know the rules when you play on the show pitch. You're going to get called out at minimum.
When you play on any pitch, because there's a reason the 3 meter line exists, and it's not for us. It's because you don't want players crashing into things on the sideline. You need to keep that space clear. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
It's additionally for us as well. We need to get those shots,
yeah.
Benji.
And the soapbox is not just because I need to see over the players on the sideline. Here's the high one to Zani. The snooded Zani, who looks relatively cold, finds what appears to be a desert-dressed bandit.
Who is that desert-dressed bandit?
Contini, maybe?
Without, wearing the pants instead of the shorts,
you can't see. Yeah, of course you can't see the number.
Nothing from the front side. There was some funny commentary from John Doggett off the top saying the team that wears the most pants will be the team that struggles the most. So let's
Correct. See. You cannot play your best ultimate in trackies. I maintain this. It is Luca Contini, by the way. Takes the break onto Valentini. And now the elaborately dressed Contini throws an elaborate scuba over the top. It lands in the lap, and then the next pass to Pavan makes it 4-2.
Lorenzo Pavan being the Johnny on the spot for the continuation. A heck of a Johnny on the spot. Huge body, that man. He's a player who's a 5-tool player. There's the high hanging scuba to set it up. And Valentini, a very easy choice to find Pavan after that one lands in the breadbasket. Here's a look from their wonderful drone angles. There's that hanging scoop. And Pavan just unaccounted for in the end as everybody was chasing the floating disc.
So here was my theory about a lot of these young Italian stars. They have to come from somewhere that's actually the same, that begins with the same letter as they do. So you've got the Pavans from
Padova.
And you've got Seb Rossi from
Rimini.
And David Barzassi from
Bergamo.
There's a thing, it's a thing.
And we could surely find one B letter from Bologna there.
Is Balducci Bologna born and bred?
I'm not sure. I've not seen him around as much as some of the others, so tough one to say.
Watching the pool all the way into the hands. Fumagalli looking beautiful in blue on the mark. More zone coming out from Italy here. The shot comes through.
Got an assassination zone here. Pavan getting the attention. The rest of the Italians into a 3-2-1.
Yeah, Di Cristofaro is watching Marek like a hawk. Hrušák. This is playing with the Czech women's team. Marek comes all the way into the backfield to try and get a bit of damage done. Zvelebil bouncing it back to Hrušák. A little bit of float, but not a problem there. Haven't really advanced down the field really for a while. That might do it. A hammer uncorked onto Zvelebil. Would expect the Italians to transition here. And that one is a wicked wide release. The pivot, the flexibility demonstrated. 4-3, the Czechs with another clean hold there. Their offense looks to have figured some things out.
Yeah, unaffected too much by the wrinkle in defense. They really wanted to shut down Pelican. I understand that. Marek was doing a lot of work, drawing a lot of the other attention from the morphing zone. But they tried to shut Pelican out. He just took to the deep space, stretched out the zone a bit more, gave his teammates a bit more room to play with. And in the end, the Czechs found their way around the 6-player zone. It just gives them a bigger field, 6-on-6 on this side of the field if you can successfully negate the assassination.
So elsewhere in this division, the other game in this power pool, Great Britain versus Belgium, is happening now on the EUFVO stream, and Great Britain are currently 1 break up, leading 4-2. Both of those sides, of course, will be an opponent for the Czechs and Italy in the coming days. Girotto into the backfield. Brunelli plays his ultimate with B-Fire of Torino. There's the deep shot over the top. Has the defender judged that? He's got a huge old slap out the back of the end zone there. František Šupanik.
And if you're not going to catch your Ds, you better knock them that far out of bounds if there's no two ways about it. And that one into the middle of Lake Limerick, which we call that swampy corner.
I was like, I'm not sure Limerick has any lakes.
Well, I'm not sure it's
it did this morning,
lake,
yeah.
Yes.
You might, those of you who are kind of keeping an eye on the streaming schedule for tomorrow, and maybe feeling a little bit for the state of the pitches, they've given the pitches the 9 a.m. round off.
Take a break. Have a lie-in.
The fact that that means we also get a bit of a lie-in is coincidental.
Totally coincidental. We did not ask for anything. We are willing to work through it all, but we'll take it.
We're not going to complain. Gives us more time to enjoy things at the ulti.TV pub quiz at the stables this evening. That is a deep shot that looks to be pretty undercooked. Of course, it wasn't going to prevent the bid, but in truth, it was always lacking. Martin Prach tried his best, but couldn't get there.
Yeah, Prach's always going to throw his body out for something like that that's anywhere near his receiving box. That one just beyond, but he had to make sure. And all you kids at home, that's the way to make sure. Put that body out there, land soft, but don't find out without bidding.
Yeah, don't die wandering. Gasparini. This time he's going to put a bit of air under it. Can they get the isolation deep? Girotto comes up to claim it, sits the mark down as he finds Michele Martelli, and it's 5-3.
Girotto's such a crafty player. I've been seeing him since about 2019 doing wonderful things. There's a player, Quentin Roger Crash, who plays in Bologna right now on the French team, who gets a lot of credit as being the ambidextrous wonder of European Ultimate. And I think if there's somebody who's kind of right there next to him, it's Alberto Girotto, the man from Padova as well. Also from there, he plays with Pavan, the Pavan boys. He's a quarterback on that team. And here, even just on that simple throw, faking with the right, throwing with the left, he can do it all beyond going up big to take that one before the assist. So big shout out to Girotto. Collects a stat, but great game, and a great set of playing days, a playing career for him that he's put down so far.
So this Italian side, I think it's missing some of the maybe headline names that we've seen in the past. Obviously, Davide Mori's moved into coaching with the mixed side. Some of the younger stars are not playing this week after under-24s last week, so players like Seb Rossi, for example, and there's also a few of them playing over on the mixed side, like Barzassi and Fantini.
Yeah, I mean, there are other Italian stars out there that are not a part of these three teams, you can say. Sometimes a bit of a shame. It's the way the federation has structured priorities for under 24s in a world year, and to set up for a 2-year program in these open age categories for the national teams.
Of course, with the World Ultimate Championships taking place in September next year, out in a place very familiar to you, Steph, the Gold Coast of Australia.
Love that place.
Seeing some of your friends from the Slamtown Flatball Club out there, I guess?
You betcha. They'll be there. They'll be watching.
As that one, and Marek takes the defender to Slamtown. What a grab. Venturoli was posterized there by Michal Marek.
Oh, wow. What a call, but what a play by Marek with Venturoli up in his grill. Venturoli, a tough man to out-jump. We have seen him go toe-to-toe with Europe's finest time and time again, and that time Marek wasn't bothered by the pressure, went up and took this away.
I was surprised that Hrushak put it, but I guess he knew better than I did that Marek was the man to answer the call. There's a reason that he is the current stat leader for the Czechs coming into this game with 6 goals and 6 assists.
Yeah, heck of a tournament for Marek. No surprise there. Player who's moved over to the Mooncatchers this year to do some club days with them, playing for, you know, a top team, a different culture. Of course, his home team, Fui, a great club, 3SB Fui, great club. He does a lot, learns a lot there, but it's really nice for some of these guys to be able to have a year and play some new players, learn some new systems, and integrate more when they come back to their own clubs, and never mind their own personal development.
I mean, he's only 23 himself, so he's still got a long career ahead of him, despite the fact that he's been playing for 8 years already.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel old. Can't imagine how you feel.
Get me my walker.
Pavan. He wants to put a bit of air under it as well. Trombetti's the target towards the back of the end zone. Oh, what a block that is. Trombetti didn't quite close the door well enough, and I thought František Vilemek was out of position, but he got up and denied it.
Yeah, I thought that disc, when it went up, that it was a good decision, to be very, very honest. I saw Pavan put it, Trombetti had separation. Trombetti could have read it a tiny bit better, but you're right, the closing speed was unprecedented, unexpected, and very exceptional by Vilemek to get himself a potential call-out on a highlight reel.
So the 21-year-old getting it back for the Czechs as the little fishy walks it to the front of the end zone. Wojciech Rybka. See, I know more Czech than you thought. Krzyż on the far sideline. Fakes well. Now Halamka. Szczepanik. Krzyż again. Halamka can't free himself of the sticky dump coverage. Pavan flashed in, couldn't get the block. There should be someone free somewhere. Pavan's just able to cloud things out before the dad backhand down the sideline in to Szczepan Krzyż. Makes it 5 apiece, and the Czechs earn one of those breaks back.
Wow, what a half we're having here, Benji. A little bit of back and forth. There is action all over the place. I love to see the Czechs breaking back. No waiting for half, no need to trade and succumb. And that is an incredible catch. That was, I mean, there was 2 hands on that one there. That is a possession saver and some for the Czechs. What a play, Benji.
And there's a lot of young talent on this side. It's not just the Italians who have a strong youth program. Just 41 years combined between Szczepanik and Krzyż as they squeeze it down that sideline for the score.
Benj, why do you got to combine their ages? They're still younger than me.
I wasn't going to mention that. Timeout here called with the two sides tied at 5 apiece. Five each here, but the Italians up a break in this open power pool matchup between Italy and the Czech Republic, and it has been a spicy encounter so far. Elsewhere in the power pool, Great Britain taking on Belgium, and Great Britain up 7-3. Both sides told me that they wanted to win that game. You know, it doesn't matter that, oh, you know, we might play each other later, we want to hold some stuff back, because they're aware that they want to try and give themselves a best path to a potential rematch in the final. Of course, with Germany, a very strong-looking Germany, looking hot favourites in the other pool. So the pool,
happy with that pull.
Yeah. It's going to force Italy to start from the front line of their end zone. Sorry to cut you off there, Steph. We were very much of the same mind, I think. Underneath, dished off. Faking the big around, Giorotto. Going lefty for the moment. Into the backfield, a pass that is low, but comfortable for Gasparini. Trombetti now in the centre. Marek has a quick scan around as he goes to apply the mark. Gasparini. Cutter powers through as Copy into the backfield. A bit of a spicy one, not a problem though for Valentini. Now Zani pops up, and Zani wants to lead it down the line. Gasparini only a few meters outside, and Gasparini finds Trombetti. Szczepanik couldn't quite close the distance, 6-5.
And the Italians back to a very bread and butter, old school vertical stack there. Cuts coming out of the middle. Gasparini did a lot of work to open up that the second asking from the end zone to get the first bit of meter, first gainer out of their own end zone, alleviate the pressure, and then Gasparini continued to include himself in the play from there on out in a bit of a give and go sense, not always the second reception, but always there for it, and again there for the finishing touches as he sent it to Trombetti for the score we just saw again there.
Half time, by the way, in Great Britain, Belgium, 8-3. So I wonder at this point if Belgium maybe take their foot off the gas.
8-3 GB over Belgium.
Correct. This is the other game in the power pool. Switzerland are the 5th team in this pool after they had a rough start to the tournament with losses to Denmark and Belgium, but a bounce back with a 15-11 win over the Netherlands to take that spot in one of the upper pools.
Wow. Not what I was expecting from that GB Belgium game, but I'll be interested to hear about how that went, or how it's gone thus far anyhow.
Brilliant pull. The Czechs starting from right on their back line, and it's tipped, fortunately, still into the hands of the receiver. Laffy got a bit, but not enough. Marek. The moon catcher goes into the backfield and gets it now back in his hands. I think zone is a weapon that teams do like to pull out against the Czechs, and they had their struggles with it early in the game. They looked like they've diagnosed some of those, but at the moment they are just being pushed backwards. Let's see if they can threaten through that cup. No, Laffy was there. The accusation of avarice strikes again, got greedy with it. And that is easy as that. A combination we've seen so many times over the years on the D-line for both Italy and Lafota. Gatti finds Laffy, and it's 7-5.
You're talking about struggles with the zone. It's something they know about. It's something their opposition knows about. Sometimes it's in their head, sometimes it's mechanical, but it reproving itself once again here. They went side to side a few times, didn't show enough patience, and we're not able to generate enough movement to really spread out the front of that cup. As such, Laffy steps in the lane there, smacks it away, and well, you saw the result on the drone shot replay from our wonderful aerial views.
I mean, it was just so static for me. I just want a bit more dynamism in the backfield. Like, change angles of attack, move the disc a bit quicker, keep the Italian defenders running around. That will open spaces. You know, have players pass and move, follow it up. Again, just they allowed the Italian defenders, especially at the front, to get into position and just stay there and apply the pressure, put the squeeze on.
Yeah, the squeeze was on there. You got to imagine if the Italians can keep their defense on the field, they're going to keep showing a bit of zone to the Czechs.
So this ball is going to hang and hang and hang and eventually drift out of bounds. Czechs will get it from the brick. It looks like just a match defense this time from Italy. Just trying to rotate through those defensive looks to try and prevent the Czechs getting into a rhythm here.
Which I like and very frequently promote as well as one of the best defensive deployments for a whole game schematic.
Those of you who were watching under-24s last week may remember the women's semi-final between Japan and Canada, and Canada just struggled so much to work out what they were trying to do offensively because Japan kept changing things up. Big swing around from Pelikan. Prusak comes and then dishes to Pelikan, zipping one in there to Vavra. Vavra running a 1-2, trying to spread it across to Filip Halamka. 7-6.
Halamka puts on the Jets there. I like the Italian, well, I like the Czech response there. The Italians did go for the changeup. I like that they've got that sense of keeping the Czechs on their toes, not letting them get comfortable or familiar with anything. But their zone was effective. I don't think there was a need to go away from it quite yet. You know, it really worked well that last time. They shut the door there. They got the turn with it, but really did not offer many options up until the turn. Now they've got to fight or they've got to hold to get another chance to put that zone on. But I think, yeah, I would have liked to see it just roll a little longer and make the Czechs, you know, beat it before or call a timeout before they give them another look.
Yeah, it's finding that balance between keeping the Czechs guessing and not letting them get comfortable. But also, if it's still generating turns and getting you breaks, do you want to keep them out there and let it figure it out? Or do you just sprinkle it in here and there just to keep them off guard? It's a tricky balance to find because if you can get on a roll before they can work it out, well, then it might not matter.
The ever-present chess game, tactical and strategic deployment, adding to the athleticism and skill of this game.
So Italy can take us into half here, trying to do the old 2 for none because they will receive the disc coming out of the interval. And there was enough pressure on that one to prevent it going to hand. Defender, I think, is going to have to take an injury sub. There's the put from Gasparini, and there was definitely a hand in there before Pavan could get a grip on it. It looks like Robert Šebek is the player with the block. in the pronunciation guide, he said his name is Bob. And I'm like, you don't see many Bobs nowadays. Bringing it back.
Bob.
Yeah, I know. Addressing the Bob emergency. I like it.
Your uncle.
Sort of is, actually. Here we go. Czechs can break here to take us to Galaxy Point. Into the center. Now Halamka slashes through. I think he wanted the deep shot, but decided against throwing to Limerick. That one is wrenched, pumped deep by Pelikan, and it is caught by František Vilimek. We're going to Galaxy.
Pelikan make a difference. Vilimek on the reception. Pelikan got that empowered position, and the door was closing very quickly, but no hesitation. He wound up a full force backhand and got it out with just enough room, and the result is something we're going to watch again here on replay. But you see him coming across, the defender charging, Pavan charging, putting the foot up in the air. But because Pelikan knew that was going before he even caught it, that's why it came off. That's why the disc was spiked, and that's why we're coming up to Galaxy Point.
So there is the big man, Pavel Pelikan. Coming into this game, he'd actually only scored 1 goal.
That's it.
But he had thrown 10 assists.
All right, that
So
makes up for it.
doing a lot more giving than receiving so far, and he's got another goal and 2 assists so far in this contest as František, the younger of the 2 Vilimek brothers, catches to take us to Galaxy Point. The Czechs, of course, would love a break to get back on serve going into the second half of this contest.
Galaxy Point bench, here it is.
So the pool fielded at the back of the Italian end zone, and they're still there now. Now a gainer downfield. Trombetti, who's taken his trackies off, getting serious. High stall, Pavan, floating one up, looking for Zani. Past the bidding defender, Sladek. Now Gasparini tight on the sideline, getting more lateral room to work with centre, dished off. Pavan comes underneath. Valentini wanted the break. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a contact call there on that mark from Wild. Gasparini gets the break off. Zani comes through, motors past to collect it. Pavan. Valentini wanted to stretch it towards the back of the end zone. Instead, they're going to take the long way around, trying to utilize the break space. Mark sags off, and that allows Trombetti to find it through before Pavan punches it in for the hold. And Italy will take a 1-break lead into the second half. Simone Gasparini with the goal.
Great finishing work there, good composure being held. A clean hold is exactly what the Italians needed. 16 throws, not too much work, but they were careful enough while maintaining their efficiency, not being careful, conservative, but carefully and liberally moving it upfield, eyes towards the end zone. Trombetti broke the space open there, and we're going to halftime. It's 8-7. We'll take a break here, and we'll be back for some second half action in this matchup.
Don't you dare go away.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
End of the first half here in the Open Division Power Pools at EUC 2023. Italy one break up against the Czech Republic. Benji Rees and Steph Rapazzo with you. What's your summary of that first half, Steph? Here is a replay of that final point that took us into the interval.
I mean, not the tidiest by either of these two teams. I think it's a bit of a slogfest. They can both stand to be cleaner. But they are just standing up and going toe-to-toe here. It is a great battle of athleticism. I think the Italians could stand to stick with that zone until the Czechs have really figured it out before they start like leaning on their polyvalence of what they show and what they put out. And the Czechs, I think what they've got to do is be able to stretch the field a little bit more, use their legs. And that's against the zone, let's say. Stretch the field, be able to go over top with some throws, but use their legs to keep the front part of that Italian zone, turning their heads, getting out of position by 3 inches to 3 feet. But those little movements, if the movements behind the cup, the wall, whatever, the first row can be guessing more by all the movement going on behind them, that will benefit the Czechs and their ability to stop an Italian zone, which has been the best part for Italy and probably the worst part for the Czechs thus far.
So there is the story of the first half. The match stats powered by Force Sportswear, who made our very trendy ulti.TV gear, and you can pick up yourself some of that from their website. 3 breaks to 2 for the Italians. The Czechs with more clean holds and only 1 fewer break chance, but Italy just have been marginally more efficient when they've got the disc back. Only 1 point this in that first half where either side turned it over more than once on the first point of the first break of the game. The third point of the game where the Czechs turned it twice and the Italians punished them at the second time of asking.
Yeah, the great analysis and breakdown there from the Force Sportswear stats that are being powered by that wonderful group of apparel makers. Make sure you check them out on all the socials, and if you need your apparel, go check them out, give them a call, get at them at the website, and they'd be happy to help you out.
I'm sure they would as well, and because as well as outfitting us, if you've seen some of the Italian, French and Swedish jerseys out there and you like the look of them, then you know where they've come from. It's
Irish,
Force.
not Italian.
Did I say Italian?
I believe you did.
I meant Irish. It's because I'm looking at the Italians and I have the brain of a goldfish.
Benji has got an incredible brain. Not of a goldfish. He is a deep well of knowledge, and as such, I had to headlock him a little bit to make sure that he put in the work to get his pub quiz round done, but I saw the fruits of his labor last night, and
it's not bad, is it?
I'm excited to see. I mean, all of our rounds should be fun. I mean, it's going to be awesome. Who's kidding who? Benji has the picture round, and yeah, feast your eyes on that when you get to Stables tonight.
8-7, the Italians a break up as the second half begins, with obviously the Czechs on defense, so Italy going to get a chance to get those 2 back-to-back possessions and almost the free break if they can hold.
The proverbial 2 for none.
The Czechs coming out in a zone of their own, but the Italians seeming pretty unflustered by this. Dished off to Zani, and he bounces it back to Pavan. Now Girotto fakes the lefty and then decides that he is a lefty for the moment. Caraceni back to Girotto. 2 of them just going short at the moment. They've got that swing to Zani if they wanted at any point, but no, back to Caraceni. Showing the overhead option, didn't seem likely to go. Wide distributed instead, where Trombetti finds Zani. a very circumspect, almost suspicious possession from the Italians, who want to make sure that every pass is 100% on before pulling the trigger. The Czechs will try and trap them on that sideline, but it's broken around to Trombetti. And now Girotto and Trombetti look to exploit any seam they can find, dinking and dunking their way down the field. Girotto has Caraceni, and Caraceni punches it through to Pavan. But there is a call.
The Italians really got patient there. They opened up the big chunk of the field to start. It looked like they were on the front foot and going to blast their way into the end zone. Czech defense tightened up. The Italians have continued to string together passes, but they're going side to side. They're staying in a small box in front of the end zone. The Czechs just denying that entry. Chatting about it out there. Girotto looks just about set there now, Benji.
I wonder if it was a travel call, maybe? Maybe the fact that he's, you know, ambidextrous causes a bit of confusion about what that pivot foot is. Gives the Italians a chance to slow play it a little bit more, as this time they go wide to Trombetti. And there's a little bit more energy as, oh, the turf monster. A bit of cramp, I think. Gasparini, I think, is the player who's down.
It is indeed. Simone Gasparini gets the assistance of Chopo Santucci, a chiropractic kinesiologist. I believe there's probably a bit more distinction to it, but now the team physio out there to give a closer look.
Well, it could be double trouble for the Italians. Of course, A, turning it over, and B, if Gasparini is not able to continue in this game, and potentially further, hopefully it's just cramp and nothing more.
He comes off under his own volition. He's walking gingerly. It may well have been a deep hamstring incident. Grasping towards the midsection.
We've already seen one hamstring go in a relatively similar area of the pitch. Conor Hogan for Ireland Mixed in that opening game on Saturday.
Hate to see that. The only silver lining is that we did get to see him and hear him for you back at home in our commentary box today. Happy to have Hoagie in the box if he's not able to do his thing out on the field.
So the turnover stands. Gasparini off the field, and the Czechs can bring us level here. But the first pass is back deep in their own end zone. I wonder if the Italians are thinking about the Callahan. You know they must be here. And you can hear it from the sideline as well. There's not a doubt. Halamka. The Czechs, again, trying to find ways to pick up a bit of energy against this defense, but at the moment, being kept in check. Pun not intended.
I mean, I like to see the Italians going back to this zone. It's what I was talking about before the half. It's what worked best for them. It's what generated breaks for them. And it's making the Czechs overthink things.
Little scuba over towards the far side. Grim. And they're just heading backwards at the moment towards their own end zone. There's a little find through that'll give them some room to work with. Going for the blade over the top. That is a beautiful find. Bziz to Gladish. Now things getting reset. And oh, the man from leftovers had nothing left there as the double foot block came in. And the what a play from Filip Halamka to rip it away and get back. If I'm the Czechs, I'm moving this quickly. I am not letting that defense get set back up. Italian defenders seem not quite sure about what the plan is because that bit of pace and verve has come back for the Czechs. Here is Halamka, his white jersey very much muddied with the spoils of that D. Grim squeaks that one through. Halamka, high one, the Frisbee's down. Shooting, a little bit behind. There is a foul called there by Bob Shebek.
What a string of 2 turnovers there. You see the door getting shut first by Tonietti's boot and the whole cup collapsing, and then right in front of Tonietti, Halamka flying back as though it was his turnover. He's making up for it, which I'm not sure if it was, but he took accountability one way or the other, and that D, hopefully by the end of this point, we'll be able to get another look, but Halamka was just horizontal and, you know, better than belt high anyways on that one.
Well, there's definitely some bumping there. Who initiated it, I couldn't tell you. By the way, in the other power pool game going on here, in what is Open Power Pool F, Great Britain have conceded one of those breaks back to Belgium, but they are still leading 10-7. And they've conceded another one, so only 10-8 now. Belgium clearly not going down without a fight.
10-8 GB Belgium.
Correct.
All right.
That's
a bit more like it.
In the opposite power pool, Germany leading Spain 11-6. Of course, Spain maybe surprising toppers of the pool, and France 10-4 up on Denmark.
All right. Thanks, Benji. Getting everybody topped up. Everybody, of course, waiting for this one to get back into play.
There are games in the other divisions going on as well. Germany 11-4 up on the Czech Republic on the other stream field, 11 behind us. Ireland up 9-7 on Belgium in the mixed division, and in the women's division, France up 8-4 on the Czech Republic. Maybe the French have finally figured out how to I used that twice. They finally figured out how to break down those Czech defenses that previously have caused them problems.
Oh, we're finally back in play here in Italian hands.
So they are going to say that the D was legitimate in the end. Trombetti to Girotto. Pavan, a little bit of a slide there, and having come over to the O-line on that injury substitution, Tonietti finds Trombetti to make it 9-7, but the Czechs got pressure there. They stood firm outside the red zone. First time of asking. I think the big question now for Italy is partly, what's the status of Gasparini?
Yeah, that is, and you see him walking back over the field with the short rolled up a bit. He's clutching at the groin hamstring area, so hopefully we'll get him back. As far as being in the commentary box, it's probably a good thing that Tonelli's not on this team anymore, because we just got that connection from Trombetti to Tonietti, and if you add a Tonelli to that, you just get a big old mouthful of the same consonants and vowel blends there. But the Italians moving very quick for the finishing sequence into the goal, and staying ahead 9-7, upper deuce into the second half.
Why is Tonietti's nickname Pingu?
That is a question we are going to have to do a little bit of deeper digging. Are you asking this rhetorically? Do you know the answer?
No. If I knew, I'd say. Genuine curious. So the discussion here is that the disc was not 3 meters away when it was stopped by the sideline.
It was aided back into play a little bit too quickly. Santucci, the opinionista, giving his opinion that that was not part of the rule books. He's probably right there.
Wearing the hat that is maybe now considered a bit culturally insensitive.
Yes, cancelled.
Given that the Cleveland baseball team changed its name to the Guardians, and Chief Wahoo was retired a few years before that as well.
Yeah. But Chiopo continues to wear.
Mate Velimek, the older of the two, has Hrušák on the far sideline. Match defense from the Italians, and it is putting pressure on the Czechs. Into the center and into the floor. Santucci with the sun hoodie underneath his Italian jersey just sits a feathered flick over the top in to Venturoli, who has his second goal of the game, and another Italian break sends the score to 10-7.
10-7, a bit of a marathon point, a bit of overcooked conversation there, slowed things down, ended up being advantage to the Italians, and I mean, in the end, the throw from Santucci was bang on, a nice arcing forehand outside in on to Venturoli. He didn't have to do too much more. Here is where things got flipped around. And that is...
It looks like it's Giovanni Fumagalli who came from the backside to snuff out the block. And then on the turn, Santucci to Venturoli creates that three-point advantage.
10-7, Italians stretching it out, going in and out of half now. Holds on either side and a break to boot. And that really separates things from Galaxy Point.
Yeah, 3 on the spin now for the Italians. 2 holds and the break. Of course, receiving out of the interval. Trombetti with the spin pull. High in the sky. Comes down with snow on it. We've had every other weather this week. And the pull bravely caught into the gut. Begins the possession.
Italians back to their zone.
Yep, and hey, it makes sense to me. Slightly different look though, just more sagging on the handlers and that diamond downfield with Tognetti, excuse me, just marking that point, coming up when he needs to. The Czechs doing a very good job of essentially marking themselves up against defenders. Always, in my opinion, if you're downfield, you want to be marked by 2 people or no people. Because if you're marked by 2 people, then someone else is free. And if you're marked by no people, well, then you're free.
Right. But if you've just got one on you, keep moving.
Fakes the one down the line after the expansive shot over the top. Just bounced back from Halamka. Tukujic. Just suck it into Cristoforo a little bit. Now he's out of position. Can they take advantage? No! Pelican denied by his longtime club teammate Tognetti. And he looked furious at the shot went. Balducci. Sees Tognetti, call the timeout here because I think he knows that they can put the hammer down here.
Yeah, they'll put the hammer down. I think other good news for the Italians, I saw Gasperini giving the thumbs up to coach. Sounds like he wants to be ready for the remainder of this game as well. So we'll see how this all shakes out after this timeout.
Yeah, here you see it again on the replay as both sides go into the huddles with Italy up 10-7.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Italian spirits high as they lead 11, potentially, if they can punch it into 7. Last round of the day here from the University of Limerick.
Great day today, as per many of our days here, despite some weather changes over the course of the day. We have had some excellent ultimates, some classic games. If you haven't caught them all, go back and watch, clear your schedule and take it all in. Don't miss a minute of this. And of course, every evening, short of tonight, you'll be able to tune in to our Limerick Late Night Live from 55 for daily wrap-ups from this tournament.
Yeah, highlights, inside scoops, everything that you'd expect from your favorite ulti.TV analysts and idiots. Which is which? I'll leave that up to you. I think I know which category I fall into. A low one there that is gathered by Balducci. De Cristofaro has Santucci. Oh, goes all the way to the dairy, Tognetti. The full fat milk with the cream on top. And you know what it means, Steph? 7-Eleven, time to get yourself a Slurpee.
That was totally me saying that too. And they send a break chicken up in the air, do the Italians, for Slurpee time. Everybody's excited about that.
I thought chickens couldn't fly.
Well,
I saw this really fascinating documentary about that once.
I bet you everybody at home would love to hear more about that. I'm not sure if now is the appropriate time. It depends how brief you can be.
It was done in claymation. It's called Chicken Run. I highly recommend it.
This is a documentary, of course. Okay.
Sorry, I jest. The Italians just have really flipped a switch since the break, haven't they? This is what the Czechs were failing to do with their offense. They're moving it quickly enough that the angles are changing and the defenders are constantly orbiting downfield, and it means that eventually they're going to get caught on the wrong side. Chopo points at us. He guaranteed the victory. Well, they're not there yet, but they're in a pretty good position.
Yeah, he just said, "I told you," as though this one's over. They have definitely stolen all of the momentum.
So, question asked: what is a power pool?
Benji, well, a power pool is what happens after your regular pools get played out. We take the top 1 versus 1s and 2 versus 2s, and even the 3s play each other to reshuffle and to get a sense of reseeding while getting some tighter round games. Back to the action with Benji.
Yeah, the top 2 sides in each pool go straight to, in each of the top power pools, go straight to the quarterfinals. The other 3 teams have to play a kind of pre-quarter crossover match as the deep shot goes from Brandstetter, and double defenders there. Gatti couldn't get it, but somebody could, and that somebody was Riccardo Venturoli. Not a good option because it was double covered, and I like Pelican in the deep space, but when 2 players are making the same cut, it is going to draw 2 defenders into that space, and Italy made them pay. Athletic grab underneath by Gialdini. And now Gurini really indicated too much what he wanted, and that meant Marek could come up in there. Pelican looks
peeved.
Yes, that is exactly the word I wanted, as the foul is called on the D for Marek by Arturo Laffi.
I think that was Gatti, in fact, who came crashing into his hip.
Yeah, there's the foul. I think potentially the shoulder on the back there is the discussion from Laffi.
I mean, we're seeing 2 fouls. I think we're going to try and get a replay. We've got some people coming to the booth to check it out. So we're going to have another look on that if we can, Mel.
Here we go. Garini, I think, just telegraphs a little bit what he wants. In the end, the call's retracted. And Pelican, off the stoppage, goes back to Marek. Marek, back into Pelican. Oh, that's a floaty one towards the far side. Laffy bids, can't get there before Sladek. Sladek, oh, couldn't punch it into Pelican. Back instead to Brandstetter. Brandstetter shows the scuba underneath. Oh, the bid came in and didn't get there. Now out of position. Marek, no, not into the end zone just yet. Fakes another option that maybe could have gone. Instead leading towards the far side. And Sladek punches it in to Rybka. Czech finally back on their board. They were 7-7 tied at Galaxy Point. And then before a 4-point run from Italy. Now finally back on the board, 8-11.
Yeah, they got through a whole bunch of aggressive defense by Italians. The Italians had been mounting pressure point after point. That time, maybe a bit too much. The D that Laffy tried to make, Gatti went through Pelican there. Czechs hung on, kept their heads cool, and bounced that one around. Here's Marek, just about to put on the finishing touches at this point again, as you see the leading throw, and there for goal. So Czechs back on the board, but they really needed to use every ounce of the well there, digging deep in it, to not get flustered by this charging Italian defense, this physical Italian defense, and to resist, maintain possession, maintain their cool, and there they are with a goal to stop the bleeding.
Someone asking if you were Italian, Canadian even, and I said that yes, you are extremely Canadian, and also Australian and French and Nicaraguan.
Yeah,
you're a man of the world.
I am a global citizen.
There's a reason we call you Atlas. And I was going to make a really cutting remark then, and held my tongue. So it's the first time we've seen the Italian O-line for a while.
And what's strange is we've been seeing a lot of Laffy. This is got to be one of the first times we've seen him as part of a D-line.
Zani to Brunelli. Brunelli, the lefty. Oh, past the bid that I think was always going to be too short, and it caused contact on Pavan. I'd probably like to see Shebek shelve that one. Back to a rather cold-looking Zani. I think this is positively sweltering for Limerick. Girotto just pops that one over. That time he got it right, but Pavan calls the foul. Maybe he did not.
Foul or strip. He's calling something there. Pavan had his hand down. Are we seeing it again this quick?
I thought that, I must admit, Shebek had that one.
Oh, so I would have wagered the same, but they call it the way they see it and feel it.
And that's the important thing. Pavan choosing to strike while the iron is hot, and the iron finds a brilliant grab from Luca Contini in the back of the Italian end zone for 12-8.
And that iron still scorching by the looks of that reception. Contini goes deep. Pavan was not happy about the first bit of contact he had. Then a bit of contentious nature after the, strip or no strip, D or no D. But he does stand up, stands and delivers, puts one in the perfect spot where the defense can't get it, and just enough for his intended receiver Contini to catch and then continue in motion in a bit of flight to ensure that goal. 12-8 now, the Italians commanding.
So the Czechs thought they had the D, but after the discussion, decided that it was at the least simultaneous, so it stayed with Pavan. Pavan used the deep shot there to his advantage. They cleared the space brilliantly for Contini. The Czechs down 4, and the Italians only need 3 to win. Anytime you have you've got to score more points to catch up with your opponent and they have to score to win, I always feel like it is a very perilous position.
Yeah, that is, you're absolutely right. 4 away from the lead, 3 away from the game for the Italians. The Czechs have got to feel like they're in a very deep hole right now.
Have you heard the phrase that 8-5 is the most dangerous scoreline in Ultimate?
I don't know who would have ever come up with something like that.
I mean, it's wrong. 14-0 is obviously incredibly more dangerous, or maybe 14 apiece. But the Czechs are in a very dangerous position here as the misread. He couldn't bail himself out there. Tadeusz Vavra.
Misread, please report to the office. That one was completely misread. Benji, a little spin around. Choosing which hip went up early as well. Just didn't have that one worked out.
Italy have already got the foot firmly pressed on the pedal. This would send them into full throttle. Marlini, who I feel like we've not really seen much this game, swings a floater up to Laffy. Laffy down the line to Gatti, and Gatti opens up the arm, and why the hell not when you can bring it down like that? Puts him on a poster, does Francesco Martini, and he is going to be sipping out on that one for a good long while.
Another Barbastre native, Francesco Martini, the man with the wonderful cocktailian last name. Martini gets up in between. He pretty much sandwiched between 2 defenders by the time the disc gets there. Gets the better read, gets up early and at the height of his jump, makes sure the defender coming from the rear position isn't going to get a chance, and makes his thrower look good, makes Gatti look a little better than he should have for that choice, throwing to a bit of a 50-50 there.
It is getting late early now for the Czechs. 5 points they trail by 13-8 in the other power pool game in this pool. Another Belgian break, 13-12 now. Great Britain lead, so Belgium fighting their way back in this one.
So I guess the wonder of maybe them not going for it, they're not charging for it, that is no longer a thought if they have come thundering back.
In the other open power pool E, Germany polished off Spain 15-7. France leading Denmark 12-8. Mixed division action, Ireland now lead Belgium 14-9, with Germany having wrapped up a 15-6 win over the Czech Republic on the field behind us. And in the women's division, the Czech women mounting a little bit of a comeback, trailing France now 9-7. After being 9-5 down. Sladek. There does seem to be a bit more motion at the back for the Czechs. Not content just to stand still, trying to be a bit more aggressive in presenting threats. Hrušák to Halamka. Back in the hands of Hrušák. Now coming underneath. Continue towards the far sideline, where Kšiž puts it up. Oh, a brilliant tip, but he didn't catch it, and it falls right into the bucket of Pavel Pelikan. He opens the beak and lets it fall right in. 13-9.
It's tough to, I mean, we said it once, we say it a million times, catch your Ds.
But
that one, when you're at full extension, I don't know if that was catchable. I think it's Giroto who chucks his body on the line and ends up getting the defensive assist for it.
I think it might be Fumagalli. We'll have a little look. Yeah, it is.
Ah, yes, it is.
In those blue tights. He gets a big old mac on it, and Pelikan, in the end, had the freedom of the end zone.
Yeah, the generous Mac gods do a favor for the for the Czechs there. Fumagalli makes a heck of a play, but Pelican still reaps the rewards.
I was going to say a good bit of mat line practice, but then Pelican caught it with 2 hands and invalidated the whole thing.
And when we talk about Mac lines, I always love this little bit of trivia. It's not coming to the pub quiz tonight, but people in the chat, Mac, why do we say Mac? What is a Mac? We'll give you about 30 seconds before we spoil it for you.
I did know this. Well, I've heard various theories, actually.
Well, then maybe I'm not as right as I thought if you've got various answers, Benj.
I back you. Back yourself.
But I'll tell you, the way I see it, it's an acronym. I'll give you that, and after this point, we'll
Okay,
spell it out.
then it is the one I'm thinking of. So Brunelli will come to the front of the end zone, trying to manipulate Halamka on the mark. And the Czechs just sitting underneath at the moment. Sagging off on the handlers, trying to prevent downfield movement. Martelli. Here's Contini. Contini sees the central option in Valentini. Pavan. Never really seems to do too much when he's throwing, but always seems to get it out. Copy. Into the gut of Valentini, and now Pavan again. The offhand past the bidding Halamka. Brunelli has no force for a while, but there's no one there to run the gauntlet. Into a congested zone, Pavan quickly out to Contini. Oh, a player was screaming for it in the center. Contini probably wisely holstered. But now on a high stall, trying to find an option, takes on the aggressive break to Brunelli, finds it. And Brunelli, sees Contini and squeaks it one in there. The Italians only one away from the win, 14-9 the current score.
Chopo feeling his predictions coming through like a junior Nostradamus, but Contini there collects the goal. He was wide open way earlier in the sequence. Have another look at the finishing touches here. But earlier in that sequence, he was 20 meters open and didn't get the deep shot come towards him, as we see the backs of Santucci. He wisely moves away. Somebody must have told him, and I'm happy as such because we get to see the Contini score.
Just a little bit of air bounce on that one from Brunelli. Nothing outrageous, but it just makes sure that it sneaks under the mark of Halamka.
There it is again from our aerial views. And going back, yeah, Contini was wide open, deep, and what I loved about it, the throw didn't come. There was no hands out. There was no complaining. You sometimes see that when deep receivers don't get hit, don't get respected when they're deep and open. Just came straight back under, put himself back into the play, got 2 more touches. One of them ended up being the assist getter, and that's what what's your next job? Not what do I have to say about the last job kind of attitude, and that carries over very well. The Italians, 14 on the board, 1 away, game point if they get their hands on it.
So the Mac, Steph?
So the Mac, mid-air correction. Is that what you had, Benj?
Something along those lines.
Mid-air correction is the Mac line.
I wonder how true it is or if it's just apocryphal, but I've heard it enough times down the years that eventually it becomes reality.
We're going to have to find out who the inventor of the Mac line was to get there.
Maybe the same guy who invented the raincoat?
I have my doubts.
Was it Steve Jobs?
No.
I've got more jokes I can reel out here. The Italians again putting on this zone that has caused the Czechs trouble. There's a cloud, walks down the path opposite us here. You'll see it on the screen if the Czechs can advance this disc. No, the fake comes out of the hand. Golden opportunity for the win here.
You feel it coming now, Benji.
De Cristofaro Shoots for Malini, 15-9. It was close in the first half, but after the interval, the Italians were magnificent, turning it over just 3 times on the way to a rampant 15-9 win. They were superb. The zone just could not be worked out by the Czechs, and any offensive miscues that they seemed to have in the first half after the first point of the second, they really found ways to clean those up. They got blocks, they generated pressure, and in the end, the Czechs just could not withstand it. That GB Belgium game, by the way, has now gone all the way to Universe. And elsewhere in the division, we mentioned that Germany beat Spain 15-7. France up 14-10 on Denmark. The other game in the other power pool, France leading Czech Republic 10-8 in the women's division, and the mixed games have both wrapped up. Czech 6, Germany 15, and Ireland beating Belgium 15 points to 9. Delighted to say that joining us now on the commentary desk is the one and only Giovanni Chopo Santucci. Chopo, you guaranteed a win, and you made good on it.
Well, as I told you before the game, we were going to win this, not because we were better. Sorry, not because we were, just better, but because we prepared this game very well. And we managed, I think that the most important thing is that we managed to play as a whole. Yesterday against Spain, there were really tight lines, and today all the players stepped up. We had some huge play from the, let's say, second line players like Joe Fumagalli and Keko. They really shined in this game, and I think that was the main goal and the main objective for this game. Just play all together. It
seemed like you threw out a couple of zones that caused the Czechs real problems. Was that a key part of that planning?
Well, yes, our zones are always very good, so we try to use them as much as we can. But we just prepare this game saying that we want to be as tight as possible on the men's, because we know they want to play really hard one-on-one. The Czech love to play one-on-one, so we really wanted to stress that, leaving no space with the zone so they couldn't play on one-on-one, actually, like they didn't do.
Yeah, make sure that they get uncomfortable and can't get into that rhythm. Obviously, you mentioned that you had the maybe unexpected loss to Spain. Did it maybe provide the opportunity to actually be a bit more critical about how you can improve as a team?
Yeah, that was a wake-up call. First, because if we lost another game, we would have been out of the top. And second, because it was the first day, so we really maybe weren't really ready to play. And Spain, maybe a lot of people thought that Spain wasn't that good, but I think Spain deserves respect. They really improved in the last 4 years, and we weren't prepared enough for them. So they played a really good game yesterday, but like we saw today against Czech, we were playing really, really tight and really hard, so I'm happy for that.
Obviously, you found your way into this top power pool, and the other teams are Great Britain, Belgium, and Switzerland. How are you feeling about your chances against the other 3 teams in the group?
Well, all eyes on GB, obviously, and Belgium. That is the rising star of Europe now.
That game's in Universe, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know they have long, good roster compared to ours that are maybe a bit shorter. But as you saw today, we're gonna play with the tactics. We're gonna the field and the defense, different type of defense are that's what's gonna help us, because also we're not that physical. So our defense are really the key for our tactic game and to overcome the height difference that we have almost throughout all Europe.
Just one more thing, which is how far do you think you can go this week?
Nobody knows. We're gonna go to the top.
Aim
as
high,
far as we can.
Yeah, and see how far you can go. Thanks for joining us, Chopo. Really appreciate it, as always.
Thank you very much, guys. Great work. and subscribe to the Patreon on ulti.TV. They're great. They do an amazing job. Bye, guys.
Listen to Chopo. He knows best. We give him a little bit of stick sometimes because he's not shy of throwing some shade our way, the opinionista himself. But the man speaks sense. We do appreciate your support. So just think, if everyone chipped in what ulti.TV could do, so patreon.com/ulti.TV is the place to pledge your support. A brilliant game from the Italians. It was tight in the first half, but the way they kicked on in the second half, Steph, I think sends a little bit of a warning out to other teams.
Yeah, it really does. They definitely make it known there that they know who's at the top of the pile. They see the Germans, they see the GB squad and Belgium up top, but they're waiting for the chance, and they believe if they can put it all together on the right game, they can swing with them, and why not chop down one of them trees? So the Italians definitely have the top-end talent if they can get their second liners, as Chopo said, to perform as they did today and do that in consistency and on the bigger and bigger stages. It's a blessing for them to be able to do it under the ulti.TV cameras here on stream. That's a nice little moving forward opportunity for them for when they get to the bracket rounds coming up.
And he was right to shout out some of those kind of less heralded players like Fumagalli, for example, who did provide such a stern defensive presence. Here are the match stats for you, powered and provided by our friends over at Force Sportswear, custom sportswear made right here in Europe, in France. 7 breaks to 2, both sides with 5 clean holds, but Italy 7 for 10 on break chances. I mean, that is clinical, Steph. That is going to get you very, very far this week.
I mean, getting 10 is incredible, and then being 70% on conversion, well, yeah, that's why the lopsided scoreline in the second half. And that's why Italy take the win and move it on with them.
So they will advance to 1 win, 0 losses in this power pool, as will, drumroll, Great Britain, who just about eke it out on Universe over Belgium after being 8-3 up at half. So they will obviously have some things to correct as well. And, of course, Switzerland, the other team in this power pool, not to be taken lightly after they won their crossover against the Netherlands just a couple of hours ago. And that is that for Monday here at EUC. Keep your eyes posted to all the socials as for updates to what our streaming schedule will be tomorrow. A reminder that we are not live at 9 o'clock as usual because the fields are getting a nice little rest.
Take a break, Fields. Relax, would you?
And while the pitches get a breather, so do we, which is a nice little consequence of that. But we shall be live at 11, at 1, at 3, and at 5. 2 games in each round to bring you as we continue to get further and deeper into what has been a fascinating European Ultimate Championships so far. From all of our colleagues here at ulti.TV and Stefan Rapazzo alongside me, Benji Rees saying we will see you on the other side. Let's get off to stables.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ulti.TV.